school was quite far from our place. There were a lot of issues at home. I didn't also want to get distracted by what was happening at home. People going hungry, people sleeping without dinner. Sometimes have to take uji. Sometimes there are fights, domestic violence. So my grandfather called me and asked me where the progress, where we are with my going to school. I told him I don't have shoes, but this is what we already had. And my grandfather removed his black shoes from his feet. I think they were good shoes, better than what I have. Because my grandfather was a bishop, so he had some shoes. Though he was in the village and just relied on some support and all that, but he had some good shoes, maybe a gift or whatever. He gave me that shoes and told me, I have given you shoes to go to Congo.
Hello, welcome back to the TCD TV. My name is Daisy. In today's episode, I'm introducing to you Maxwell Agik, who has seen it through it all in his childhood. And at his high school level, he met a good-hearted man who helped him through his secondary level. Before I introduce to you my guest today, allow me to say thank you to Botanical Gardens, who has given us opportunity to shoot our video here. And guess what? Today I'm dressed by Magik Elegance. He's here to share with us his story. Let's unveil.
My name is Maxwell Agik, and this is my story.
Maxwell Agik, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Karibu sana. Now, take us back to your childhood history.
Yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity to join you up today. It's a good opportunity to share. Hoping it touches someone's life. So, my name is Max, as I have been introduced. I was born and raised in a village in Nyakach. Nyakach is a sub-county in Kisumu. And my home is in a place called Koguta, in a small village somewhere. Some people know my place as a very dry place, and I think sometimes they make fun of me because of that. But yeah, that's where I come from. Born in a family of 6. I'm the second born and the first born son. So I have an elder sister, other 3 sisters, and 1 brother. I went to school in that same village, primary school. I went through 2 primary schools and 1 high school in the same village. So being that the school was just close to our place, I went to day school for 4 years. And after my high school, I came to Nairobi, I think for the first time, just to pursue my higher learning in college.
So I would like you to take time and take us through your primary level, how the environment was, the struggles that you had while you were in your primary level. And also the family setup.
Yes. I am a teacher's son. My mom is a early childhood teacher. So I started my learning from my mom, or in the hands of my mom. So what happened was, she was teaching the nursery school section in our primary school then. Then I started learning there, and in the course of my learning, she realized that I wasn't doing so well. And I think one of the greatest mistakes I did one day was when she was teaching, I called her mom instead of calling her teacher, or excuse me, madam. So she realized I was bringing a lot of home affairs in school. And so she decided that she's going to take me away from her to another school, to another friend of hers the way. So in class 4, the number 1, the parents transferred him from our school to another school. So there was a bit of a reshuffle.
You became number 2.
So I was supposed to become number 2. Then I realized the number 1 would now be a lady, and I realized I cannot accept that. I cannot accept a the number one too. And my dad used to make fun of me, like you're being beaten by a lady. And you know, all parents, I think, during their time, they all used to be number one, and all of them used not to be beaten by ladies. So he used to make fun of me. You are a man who is being beaten by a lady, and that used to give me a very big challenge. So I said, you know what, I have to be number one now. That's how I picked number one, and the lady became number two. Yeah. And then I think later on, around class 5, she also got transferred, and I remained. So throughout class 5, I was number one, but I had marks of less than 300 marks out of 500, and that was not competitive enough. So when my dad realized that, he decided that I should go for tuition to improve my performance in class 5. So during that time, tuition was from class 6. So he talked to the school administration, and he asked that I be allowed to join class 6 to do tuition with them. Then when school opens, I go back to class 5. So when I joined class 6, I realized that I was doing way better than most class 6. Yes. So given the fact, you know, I hadn't covered much of the syllabus and all that, but the things we were being taught around that time, I would easily grasp them and all that. So throughout the tuition, I was doing so well. So at the end of the tuition then, the senior master for the school, he was also coming from the village, so he went and told my dad that I should be retained in class 6 instead of going back to class 5 because I was doing so well. And my dad asked, he's doing so well with how many marks? Then he told him, you don't have a test because it's just tuition. But when you look at how his aptitude, his grasping stuff, his performing in exercises and all that, he's doing pretty much well than most of the class 6 candidates. Then my dad, after the tuition, made a decision that I'm not going back to that school because he realized that the school had a problem. Because how come you are weak in class 5, then you go to class 6 and start beating class 6 again? It means the student is good, the school is not performing very well. Yeah. So that's how I was transferred to the other school, and actually the school I was transferred to was the school my mom chased me away from. But at least I was old enough. I was not mommy's boy anymore. Yeah. And also my mom had left that school. She was teaching in another different school. So I joined that school at class 6. I got challenged in terms of competition, real competition. And I was never number 1, 2, 3 throughout my entire stay in the school. Because that school were really aggressive. There was a lot of competition. Yeah. So I joined at class 6 the following year. I was beaten properly, and my dad told me, now you are in the right school. Because you carried your marks, but you can't get the position. Because now your marks is falling where it belongs. If it is position 10, that's where it belongs. Yeah. So that's how I proceeded now to also be very competitive, keeping on learning, keeping on challenging myself. And we went through like that through primary till class 8 when we set our KCP in the very same school. That was in 2007. Yeah. So I loved my stay in the school. It was a very local school, right in the village, just next to, it was within my village, about some 9 kilometers from our home. We walked to school in the morning. It was next to the foot of the hills. So when you're going to school, unapanda mlima, kurudi unateremka. Then because it was next to a hill, a hill normally has some forests and all that, so there was a lot of vegetation cover and all that. So what we used to do when we became candidates, we used to, as we do clearing with school, you remember during our time, people used to do a lot of manual work in school, whether it's slashing, whether it's doing the compound, whether it's whatever it is, including cooking for teachers.
You used to cook for your teachers?
Yes, you would be chosen. There used to be an official called the office girl. she would choose the people who would be cooking on a daily basis, like a team of 2. So you'd start making arrangements to prepare teachers' lunch. Yes. And you would also carry firewood to school. Yeah. The one that teachers would use now to also. So carry the firewood, carry water to school, then cook for the teachers. And the privilege that came with was you would also eat the teachers' food. You don't have to go back home, which is so far away. Some 9 kilometers. You have to go for lunch and come back to school.
So take us through your secondary level. You had mentioned earlier in your story that there was this get man who helped you through your high school level. Would you kindly take us through that? We get to know what happened in between that. Your parents did not provide for your school fee and the get man is coming in to help you.
Wow, I didn't know you know that. Well, so after primary school, and I was supposed to transit to high school, so I got the Kisi calling letter, and I'm supposed to go to Form 1. So what happened was we did not have the capacity to support. In short, we don't have fair men towards. Basically, we can't support you to go to Form 1 in a boarding school, and especially a boarding school that's far from home. So there were 2 alternatives. One was to go back and repeat class 8, or scout for a school, one of the day schools that is near. Yeah. So I was actually asked to go and repeat, and that was my dad's idea, because in our village there was a program by Kengen to sponsor bright students. I think the top students, or the ones who scored 400 plus marks. I didn't have the 400, but I had passed. I had over 360. So I considered that they gone through a lot and passed and did my best. So I did not understand how I was supposed to go back and repeat. Yeah. So I said, if you people are not ready, then that's the end of me and primary school. I'm not repeating, and I'm not going to Form 1. I'll figure out what to do with my life. And that's when I think my mom picked it up and started persuading me to go back and repeat, because what they wanted was I go back and repeat and get the 400 marks so that I'm sponsored now through high school. Yeah, which I knew was not possible. I knew my limit, and that was excellent for me, whatever I had got. So what I told my mom, asked my mom that if you want me to repeat, what are you going to do differently? Is it about me going to look for sponsorship, or you people getting ready? Then she told me it's us getting ready. Because I asked her, what about if I don't get the 400 marks? What will happen? So she told me we just want to be ready. Then I asked a simple question. So I joined class 1, went to 2, to 3, to 8. For 8 years, you are not ready, and you want to be ready in 1 year this time. I said, you know what, this is a game and I'm not falling for it. So I'm done. So if you won't get a school for me, I've finished my learning. And as I did that, and I saw, it brought a lot of trouble for her as a mother, because she was now becoming aggressive to push for me going to school, seeking for help from well-wishers, from whoever. But she was not getting the help. So what I decided was, if no one is going to ask for a school, because I know we had a good school, a good day school nearby. Some of my classmates had joined that school. A month later, I had not joined Form 1. I think we had reported.
I'm a little bit concerned.
Yeah.
Why is it that your dad was not pushing it? What was the reason why he was not pushing it? Is it that because he was not working? And what happened? Is it that since your childhood, your dad was not working, or there's something that happened in between?
My dad was privileged to do one of the biggest jobs people would be doing. Because my dad was a qualified accountant. My dad went to Maranda High School. I got employment with a company called Nairobi Rubbers and Plastics some years back. I think those days we were born. And was working as a credit controller in Nairobi. But then he suffered a long illness, which rendered him incapable of, sort of incapacitated. He couldn't deliver anymore. And he had to go back home. Yeah, because it was critical. So as he survived through, then he could not have anything else to do. And and that's how we ended. And all the resources he had actually accumulated were used in his medication. By the time he was trying to get better, he had lost a lot of time, disconnected with the industry, and used all his resources. He was just like a commoner also in the village. Yeah. So that's how we found ourselves in that situation.
So your mom is here pushing for well-wishers to pay your school fee.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
So because there was no response, I think everyone's life was difficult. What happened was I started looking for that school, and I went to the school.
How did you go? Now that there is no fair, how did you make it to Kisii?
It was no, not Kisii. I never reported to Kisii.
So you
I
were
went
looking
to the
for-
school I wanted to go to, a day school, which I felt was affordable. Then I joined. I approached the administration and asked if I could get the opportunity, and it was a long battle because the principal wouldn't understand how is a class 8 coming to scout for a school for himself, and he asked me, "How many marks did you get?" And I told him, and their cutoff marks was around 300. So he was asking me, how did it happen that you did not get a chance automatically, the government placement in this school? It means you didn't choose our school. And so because you didn't choose our school from the outset, you also don't want to choose you when it is now.
That was a painful truth.
Yeah, it made a lot of sense. Yeah. But then now that's where negotiation comes in. I had a lot of diplomacy and just saying, guys, I'm coming here all by myself. All I want is to learn. Because if you don't give me this chance, I'm going to the village. I'm a bright student, and I'm going to the village, I'm going to do nothing. Maybe going to get some contracts here and there, village jobs and all that. Or help my mom doing firewood as we usually did, or doing charcoal and all that. That's how my education would now ended. Then after a long tussle of about 2 weeks, the principal, when I visited, because I was very persistent in my going there, I found the principal had given me a chance and my letter was there. I know the secretary who was also coming from my village actually told me, your letter is here. I did not even know how to react.
What did you do?
Huh?
What did you do?
I did not know how to react. I was overwhelmed. I was very happy. And I took my letter and I wanted to go and show it to my parents. My dad was then working in a construction site. So that was my first stop. I told him, I've looked for this school and now I've got a chance. And I've been given 2 weeks to report. Remember, it's already a month later after everyone else had reported. So I'm reporting mid-term, So when he looked at the letter, he told me, now you are a man. So now we are going to figure out something.
They have not yet figured.
Yes.
So it's when he's going to figure it
Yes.
out.
Now me, I came up with ideas. So I started I went through the calling letter, the books that were needed, the uniform and stuff, and just started to shout. Everyone I came across, guys, have been given a chance to join this school. I have nothing.
Around the village.
Yeah.
Your uncles, aunties.
No one would help. Somehow my dad was the most educated, I can say, in the entire family, and he had the best opportunity, but then it washed down. So I started looking for resources to join high school by myself, just like I got a chance, and persuading my dad, to get some little resources. Fortunately, that thing happened at the time Kibaki was trying to implement, President Kibaki, may God rest his soul in peace. I'm one of the people mourning Kibaki very much. He helped me to live my dream. So in 2008, that's when we were joining Form 1. So Kibaki had said that it's free secondary education, and parents are only supposed to pay lunch. And the lunch cost that per term for that school I was given a chance in was 700 shillings. So for the whole year it was 2,100. So I said, this one I have to join. Whether I'm being supported or not, I have to join. So I asked my dad if we could sell 2 goats that I had acquired when I was in primary school. I used to take care of people's goats in our home. So when the owners came and took back their goats, where I come from, we call it Iriemboni. Niriembona diek. So, in short, someone has a herd of cattle or goats that they cannot take care of, so they give out others. not that they've sold it out. They're just giving you to take care of it, and then when they come to take it, they give you the calf as in return for the favor you gave them to take care of their flock. That's what I used to do. So I had 2 goats out of that, because I used to do that. So I said, these 2 goats, can we sell them? How much can they fetch? And it was exactly 2,000 bob. I said, I got fees. Yeah. So we called the people, sold the goat, and got school fees.
Payment for lunch.
Payment for lunch, yes, for the whole year. There is no school uniform. I started to shout out now, and there are no books. That's when my mom saw my pain and approached. My mom is a believer, so she approached her pastor, told him the case of her son, and the pastor offered to do my school uniform. Yes, that's how I got my trouser and shirt, and I had some money also from my charcoal business and all that. I got my tie. It was 50 shillings then. And socks. Socks were also 50 shillings. So my 100 bob was gone.
Now you are remaining with the shoes.
No, shoes was not there. So my grandfather called me and asked me where we are with my going to school. I told him I don't have shoes, but this is what we already had. And my grandfather removed his black shoes from his feet. I think they were good shoes, better than what I have. Because my grandfather was a bishop, so he had some shoes. Though he was in the village and just relied on some support and all that, but he had some good shoes, maybe as gifts or whatever. He gave me that shoes and told me, I have given you shoes to go to Form 1. And that's the only pair I had. And I also did not know how to react that time. Sometimes people show you kindness until you don't even know what do I do for these people. You experience so much love in your pain and all that until you really don't know how to appreciate people. So I took the shoes. There were no books. What I did now, I came up with an idea to consolidate books from everyone I knew was attending that school, because they were also day scholars. So if you had a dictionary, I would come to you, Tracy, please help me with your dictionary for admission purposes. Once they check and tick off that I have a dictionary, I will return it to you. Then I'll figure out how to survive in school. So I got it from many books from different people, and I had a whole bunch. Yes, that's how I secured that admission.
I remember you were telling us when you received the admission letter, the first person that you showed was your dad.
Yeah.
And he was at construction site.
Yeah.
So this time when he's working at the construction site, why is it that he could not even pay for the tie or even for the socks? Does it mean that the money that he was working for was only to sustain you people for food?
Well, my dad, I think, as much as the pay was little, it was. And I think most of the time it would be used to feed the family and all that. But again, my dad, I think, had an addiction to alcoholism. So you'd spend most of his money. Yeah. That one you cannot, an addict, whether it's the son going to school or whoever, you cannot separate them from the bottle. They will take it first and figure out this and that. By the time they figure it out, they've already used up their money. And that's where the challenge was now.
So you've consolidated all the books and now you have your full uniform.
Yes.
So
and my dad took the money we got from the sale of goods, went and deposited it at the posta. That time we used to pay fees through the posta, the postal officers. Yes, and gave me the slip. And I appreciated it. I went to school. Yeah. I went to school the first day with my grandfather's shoes, uniform that was done by the pastor. One of our church members who was a tailor did it. Tie that I bought and socks and a few things. My dad also bought for me a few things like a set, a watch, those basic things. Then I placed my bunch of books in a polythene bag and went to school. The only Form 1 reporting with a polythene bag.
Who took you to school, your mom or your dad, or you went by yourself that day when you were reporting?
the day I was reporting, we went with my dad. Yes, my dad took me to Form 1. My dad loved education, even though he was not so materially involved in terms of supporting resource-wise, but he loved. He would track your performance like no man's business. And that's how you remember he transferred me from a school because I was not performing. He really contributed to my education in that angle. Yeah. So I reported, he took me through, and he was a very aggressive man, by the way, and also learned, even though incapacitated. Yes. So that's how I got my admission. Then immediately after admission, I was going back home because I was a day scholar. So the day was that, so tomorrow I'm supposed to go to school as usual. Yeah. So now, I realized I was joining school late. I had to do something to make up for the time I lost. And I was so excited about Form 1 and all those things. The learning was nice. I was understanding most of the things. Yeah. I was only disadvantaged because I was coming late, but I had everything I needed. Went through the hard way. So at the end of term 1, I think I was number 100 and something. Yeah. Then I said, you know what, we have to do this thing. In term 2, I was around 90. Then in term 3, I was around 30 something. And I realized, oh, so this thing is possible. So I'm not going to go back home anymore. I have to look for a place to stay because the school was quite far from our place. There were a lot of issues at home. I didn't also want to get distracted by what was happening at home, people going hungry, people sleeping without dinner, sometimes you have to take uji, sometimes there are fights, domestic violence, where there is poverty, there is bound to be domestic violence. I can tell you that for free. From experience. Yes, because
So
you're
it is
always
true what
fighting
you
about
see
some
in
things.
TV, it's true.
Yeah, you don't have resources, you're always fighting, you're always arguing, you're always having issues. And someone might decide to take a bottle to square it off with you, and it was not a nice experience. Yeah, so I decided I don't want to associate with that. I have to separate myself from that and get my own space and focus on this, which was studies. Because if I screw up, the entire generation is gone. Because I don't think there is anyone as aggressive as myself in the entire family, amongst my siblings. I don't think so. So I approached a certain man. Actually, initially I was hosted by one of the day scholars who was my friend. We made friends in Form 1. And him, the brother was supporting him. They were coming from very far and they could not afford boarding school fees. So the brother secured for him a place to stay around, a rental premise. So he asked me, let's be here and be coming for night preps, night studies. My friend was called Philip Adede. He's the one who admitted me to his house. For some time, because the brother was paying rent and all that, and me, I could not afford the rent. I felt like I'm wasting this gentleman. But he told me, never mind, we are here to do this. He used to really inspire me, that gentleman. Now the trouble began when the brother decided to admit him now to boarding. Now I was exposed because I was remaining alone in a house I could not afford. So I started to figure out how am I going to do this and all that. And got some favor with the woman who was doing business around there, because also out of my kindness or what, I loved to do work. So while we were staying with my friend, I would come from preps, going back to that house he left for me, and I would pass by this woman's kiosk. She was selling groceries, and help her to carry her stuff back to one of the rental rooms next to our house, because she was all alone, and she's left behind. It's around 10 o'clock in the night, and she has to push the wheelbarrow all by herself. I used to push it for her. Then out of that, she realized I was a good person. She was not losing her things were intact. I was also maybe providing security in that environment for her, because the room was all unattended. And that's how we became friends. And she told me, I can pay half of your rent. Well, the rent was 400 shillings.
So you have to look for 200, eh?
Yeah,
She's paying half.
she's paying half. I have to look for the other half, and I could not afford the other half. So I decided, let me get something more sustainable. I approached one of the people I knew in my village, someone who had a posho mill, and I saw the posho mill was 2 rooms. There was one room which was a store, and the other side which was where the machine was. So it was called Mr. Eliud Oreche. I asked Mr. Eliud, because I knew him, and I thought he liked me. I asked him, can I get space in your posho mill, in the other room, so that at night I also be a double up as your watchman, because your posho mill is unattended. I was basically doing proposals to people. So can I get that other room in your posho mill so that I put my stuff there, go to school in the day, at night I come and sleep there, and your posho mill will somehow be safe, but you'll also be giving me an offer of just staying there without paying, just supporting me. And that gentleman told me, just go to school. When I come back, he was teaching. He was a teacher. He was teaching somewhere else. When I come back on Friday, we will have a conversation. And then when he came back, he told me, it is not good for a student to stay in a posho mill, because your uniform will be very dirty. That place is dusty and all that, and you don't want to stay in such a place. So what you will do is, I will give you my brother's homestead. The elder brother had a very good homestead, but he had passed on together with the wife, and their only daughter was also not around. So he told me, if you can take care of that homestead, then that's where you will stay, and you can call some of your friends, because it's a lonely place. You stay together there and let it be for study, go to school and come back there. That's how I got that support, miraculously like that. And life became comfortable now, because that home had water. It was a Mwalimu's home, equipped permanent house and all that. That's where I stayed now throughout my high school life. And I would go to school in the morning around 5 a.m. I would stay in school up to around 10:30 p.m. and come back to the house.
So at what level did the gateman come in?
So during this time, there was a watchman who was called, what was his name? Ochuon, yes. He was called Ochuon. So this watchman was in charge of the other watchmen at the gate in our school. So what used to happen, remember we are day scholars. So basically what that implies is, if I have to stay in school from 5 a.m. to 10:30 p.m., it means you will go without supper in between, because you're not about that. So you can't go and eat their food. Though sometimes you used to steal it, which is not a good thing. But most of the time, because it was a risky thing, if you are found doing that, you would be penalized, and you would be forced to join boarding section and pay the full boarding fees, or you'd be fined or expelled or something like that. So you do that. It was a risky thing. Then at some point we were caught, me and my friend, and we were told that we are going to pay for the fines or join boarding school. So I went and pleaded with the principal, told him my story, and we built a rapport. He told me, never should I find you eating my boarder's food and you're paying for day school fees. Then that's where now Ochuon came in, the gate man. Because now officially we were not eating the stolen food. We would not mingle and mix with the boarders and eat their food. Yeah. So sometimes we would go very angry, because you remember, huko malitunaka, there is no food. We are not cooking. There's no food at all. So if you don't eat in school, problems. So at some point, some of the boarders who are well enabled, maybe the days you cook ugali and beans for dinner, many people would go and buy chapati at the canteen and throw away the ugali. So there was a place they used to dump the ugali. So now me, okay, I don't know if anyone else was doing that. because I was very angry, I would sneak to where the ugali was dumped to go and get a piece for myself and some soup, bean soup. That's what I would take for supper. And you know, it was very embarrassing. So you want to do it also secretly without anyone noticing. Yeah, because you don't want to embarrass yourself so much. So that used to be happening. That used to happen on Thursdays when the dinner was ugali and beans, and most people would go buy chapati to take with the beans. You know, yeah. So when Ochwonyi realized that thing, he told me, you know what? We are normally provided with some food here as security from the kitchen, and sometimes it's a lot. So the days we have extra, I can leave for you. And he identified me in particular. That was a very big favor. I can leave some for you. When you are after study, you pass by this guard's office, eat your food as you go home. Yeah. And that happened over and over as long as Ochwonyi was there. So this guy was very intentional about inspiring me. And the rest of us was also coming for preps, you know, even in class, studies and going back out of school. They used to tell me, one day you will carry me with your own car to my home. And his home was up the hill. You know, our school next to a hill, so his home was up the hill. There was a very good tarmac road there done by Kenji. So he used to tell me, you'll carry me with your what? Your car. I do not believe it, but he used to say that over and over and inspiring us and telling us, you know, just keep on doing what you're doing. You know, the world is watching, God knows, just keep it on, keep it on, keep it on. This guy inspired us and challenged us. That's how I met.
So that is how you met Ochwonyi in your high school level?
Yeah.
And now that is how you survived in high school?
Yeah, there was the bit of school fees. I will not tell you. I remember the fees I had was for Form 1. So for Form 2, when we got to Form 2, the Kibaki program somehow disappeared and fees was reintroduced. And we could not afford it anymore. And I, at term 2 in Form 2, I had accumulated a lot of arrears. I was chased out of school. And for almost the whole term, I was not in school. Because now I had given up completely. I said, I'm not even going to struggle now. Let me go do Mjengo. I used to do a lot of Mjengo and all that, accumulate some funds, survive, send my mom some money, also to keep the family, you know, sustain the family like that. And I felt that was okay. Until my principal met me in one of the construction sites. And he identified me and he was wondering, are you my student? What are you doing here? And he told me to go and see him in the office the following day. I didn't know what he wanted to do with my life. But I went. And after listening to my story and how this thing went, he told me, whenever you will be sent home for school fees in this school, you will go home. But if you don't find anyone to pay for your school fees after 3 days, come back to my office and tell me you don't have school fees. I will give you a cheat or a notification that shows you I have allowed you to stay in school with your arrears. When you finish school, you will pay for the rest. That happened.
Have you paid?
I have paid. Though I have a balance of 10,000. I have not paid. But I paid. Yeah.
I think you should be working for that. You paid the 10,000.
I should clear that 10,000.
Now, I want you to take us to take us through your university a little bit, and then you introduce for us what happened for you to have Magik Elegance.
Well, so after the hell of high school I had, I qualified to join university. I decided I was not going to disappoint my principal for the favors he did for me. So I was basically always doing my best, and continually doing my best and my best and my best made me to get exceptional results. I got an A-plane. So
Congratulations.
yes, thank you. And that's when now I got the ticket to come to Nairobi for the first time after my dad left Nairobi in the 90s. Yeah, so I joined, I wanted things that were going quick because I was scared about how my family was going to survive if my process didn't go as fast as I wanted. So I joined high school, college in 2012, and I was privileged now to get a lot of support from HELP, and I was also already becoming a businessman. I was doing my agriculture, planting my tomatoes at home, using my HELP money to fund my agriculture business, so that at any one point I was able to sustain myself in school, and also pay for my brother and sister's school fees in high school, because my immediate followers, they're also not doing so well. So I joined KU. I was initially supposed to do medicine. I was in that class for a maximum of 2 weeks before I realized this is not what I want. Then I jumped into economics, did economics for 4 years. Throughout this time, I was involved in student leadership, in matters welfare. I had a lot of experience in life, from all that, and was very aggressive with opportunities. And that's how I was always positioning myself to opportunities, and connecting, building networks, creating circles that are beneficial to myself. And when I was in fourth year doing my economics, a friend of mine who was ahead of me was doing an internship with IBM. He was doing telecommunication engineering. So I started to follow through what he was doing, because he was just in fourth year. He was doing a lot of things and all that. And he inspired me, and is the one who introduced me to the graduate recruitment programs that are available, right from the big audit firms to leading companies in different industries who are doing graduate programs and all that, banks and all that. So I started making my applications because I was in my final year, and I wanted to secure an opportunity immediately after high school. This guy helped me to train myself for the interviews, know how to run with aptitude tests, how to do my CV and all those. It was called I'll remember his name. Powell. It was called Powell Felix. And with my uncle, it was called Charles Osoti. Those people really inspired me to challenge myself to go through the graduate recruitment programs. And I was fortunate to go through the process as a period of 6 months interviews, from aptitude tests, from group assessments, managers interviews, partners interviews, and all that. And I managed to secure an opportunity with one of the leading private audit firms in the world, actually, and in our region. Yeah, and immediately I finished school in 2016. I finished around April. In July, I had already applied for graduation. I graduated in July, and I was admitted. I was given my contract in September the same year to join that audit firm. And that's where I've been working to date.
Yeah. So tell us about Magik Elegance.
So how Magik Elegance came, while I was working for this audit firm, if you know those audit firms, the likes of KPMG, PwC, Deloitte, and all those, I will not mention which one I work for. They like elegance. Putting on a suit like this, it's like uniform, Monday to Thursday. Maybe we can break it on Fridays. So we were even given allowance to go and make suits when we joined, suit allowance. So when I was looking for suits, I could not find the right suits. I was getting ready-mades, and I didn't know a tailor would do a good suit and all that. So at some point, and I was attending a friend's wedding, and I was one of the groomsmen. Then they took me to a tailor to go and take my measurements and do a suit there for the purposes of the wedding. And that guy did a very good suit, extremely good, better than all the suits I had done before, the ready-mades. And I realized, this guy is, where he was working was not reflecting the kind of work he's doing, the quality of work and all that. Then I realized I will be now making my suits with this guy and want to make friends with him. And that is how we developed friendship. And as I went on with my work, wherever I was employed, then I decided that why don't we do a partnership with this guy? I was like just venturing into his business, injecting a bit more capital, trying to facelift it, get a bit more premium clients from my network and all that, just to make sure that this guy is doing work to clients that is worth doing work for. Yeah, and that's how we teamed up together, partnered to bring forth Magik Elegance. We moved from where I used to work and got right into the CBD at Old Nation Center, and secured our room there where we're doing business today. And that's how Magik was born. I bought more machines and brought in more employees, more tailors and all that, but it remained the overall head of the business operations and all that, and I was now on the strategic side. Yeah.
Of bringing in customers.
Bringing in clients, managing a client, rapport and all that. Building the
So where are you seeing yourself in the next 5 years as a Magik Elegance?
Magik Elegance is still growing. Magik Elegance, I think, is now around 4 years old, and we continue to satisfy more clients, bring in more people, more premium clients, like that. And I always don't have very long-term plans. I don't know what 5 years will be looking like, but we are intentional about making small steps towards getting into a bigger business. Yeah, and hopefully we'll be a brand at some point.
So before we wrap it up, I would like you to face the camera and speak to those people who are at home or who are going through poverty right now.
No one chooses where they are born, no one chooses their parents, no one chooses the village they are born in and all that. No one chooses the things that happen to them in their journey of life. And how you make up when you find yourself in some of these scenarios like mine is to just keep on trying and being intentional about what you're doing, being consistent about everything that you're doing, and little by little making toddler steps, but consistently you will definitely get there. One thing that has worked for me is understanding that whatever is happening to me today does not define me, and I can actually change my story, I can change my way of living, I can change my environment, and I can also make an impact in other people's life, right from my family to the people that I come across in life, to my partners in business, to my colleagues at work, and everyone, and just also supporting community and all those things. Success is a painful process. Not everyone would want to take a painful process, but just like an injection, if you can just close your eyes, open your teeth wide, and feel the painful, but take it. You will have something to enjoy, my brother or sister out there. So just make yourself ready for it, to go through the painful process. It is a painful process. I may not tell you all the details, but it is really a painful process. But with consistency, with resilience, with discipline, you are going to be a success story someday, and people will read your story and talk about it and say more. So if you want to find us online, we are on Instagram, Magik Elegance, at Magik Elegance. Magik it's Maxwell Agik, so just take the M, add Agik to it, and it becomes Magik for you, _Elegance. On Facebook, it's Magik Designers and Outfitters, and I've said Instagram is Magik_Elegance. And my personal account is just Maxwell Agik on Facebook.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate. We hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Next time.
And you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
We appreciate you for this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.